What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today I'm not an auctioneer, but today we are going to talk about the unfortunate thing that happens in fountain pens. Don't worry, I'm not going to actually talk like that the entire time. I did, however, just finish my morning coffee, so we'll see how this video goes. We like fountain pens, right? I like fountain pens. You like fountain pens. I think we're all established by this point in our lives, if you're watching this video, that we like fountain pens, which means we order fountain pens, which means we use fountain pens. And if anything in this hobby is clear, we tend to buy more than we probably should, especially me, because I went down this rabbit hole like way too fast in the many years I've been in this game. So what happens when you buy so many fountain pens and you use so many fountain pens? Well, the odds of getting one that you become disappointed in, unfortunately, gets higher and higher and higher. And not every fountain pen can be a banger. And I'm going to talk today about my top 5 disappointment fountain pens. The pens that I had high hopes for, and then when it arrived at my door and I inked it up and I used it, I went, oh man. And that was my first impression. No particular order. I do have 5 here in front of me. I purchased all of them, so none of these were sent to me for a review or anything like that. I've done reviews of them, but they're all ones I purchased. I sought after, with the exception technically of one, but it was a weird situation because I ended up buying one and was sent one at the same time. So I had 2. So it's a bit of a weird situation there. But anywho's, yeah, I'm just gonna jump right in. I did decide today, excuse me, to use my Bennu Euphoria Bourbon as my mic holder today, which is one of my favorite fountain pens, which I have done a video of, not only this review, but I also did a video where I talked about how you should not judge a pen by its cover, because I was anti-Bennu for a very long time, and now I have 100 million of them because I love them. But any hoozles, let's jump right into it, and I'm going to start with a Gigantor set. That is the Caveco Calligraphy Set. For those of you who have been watching my content for quite some time, you know that I love Caveco Sports. They're just dynamite. But I was very disappointed with this set. I was very excited to get this set, and this is the one that was sent to me, but I also bought one at the same time, and they both kind of arrived at the same time, because I purchased one before I knew I was going to get sent it, that kind of stuff. It comes with multiple nib sizes, 1.1 through 2.3. If you hear Parker meowing in the background, I'm sorry. It comes in a really cool, like, tin container, which I'm going to try and open up with one hand. Hey, not bad. And it comes with, like I said, the 3 different nib sizes, a pen, and some cartridges. Now, like I said, I have many Cavecos, and I love them, but these nibs suck. I said in the initial review that I did that when it works amazingly, but it doesn't always work. It skips a lot, and there's a hard starts a lot. Some of the bigger nibs really have baby's bottom, and just I don't feel like there's the same quality control in this than any of the other Caveco Sports that I have. My main problem with most of the Caveco Sports is just that they're a little bit dry and the tines are kind of tight together, but that really only takes about 5 milliseconds of work when you get the pen to like fix it to the way that you want it. But like the calligraphy set, you're going to need to spend a good amount of time working on these nibs to get them to work all the time. I did put out in my video asking for feedback if anyone else has experienced that, and it seems like a good amount of people did. Not everybody, So you could get lucky, you could get a good set, but a good amount of people who have tried it said that yes, they experienced the same issues, hard start, skipping, all that kind of stuff. And that's a Gigantor bummer. because the sets aren't super cheap. Not that price ultimately matters. Price really does not dictate whether a pen is going to write well or not. I have one that's over $1,000 that we're going to talk about in this video that it was a huge disappointment. So yeah, I have ones that are about $10, $12, and I have ones that are over $1,000 that we're going to talk about today. So the price is wild. But I was very disappointed in that calligraphy set. And I haven't decided what I want to do with it yet. I haven't decided, to be fair, what I'm going to do with any of these pens, except for one of them. One of them I'm keeping. We'll talk about that when we get there. But I haven't decided what I'm going to do with them because I don't want them, but I also kind of don't want to sell them. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below what I should do. So, Caveco set. Big disappointment. Next disappointment was, let's just pick up this one since it's closest to me. This is the Sailor Compass, I believe. This is their like super cheap one. It's kind of like Sailor's version of like a Platinum Preppy, where it's supposed to be like their introduction. And I can tell that the reception to these weren't the greatest because they used to be like $40 or something like that. And now they're like way cheaper. Most of the retailers that had sold them either no longer sell them and or have them constantly on sale because they're not that great. Super cool that the feed is plastic. Or plastic. My goodness. See-through. Like it's clear, which is really cool. My camera is just not going to focus on that at all. It's trying real hard. There we go. Which I think is super cool. I love the color. I'm a sucker for browns. You all know this. It's just a standard medium fine nib. You don't have a choice over what you get. It's basically as cheap as you can get a Sailor pen these days. The quality control for these things is abysmal. Abysmal. I've used many Sailor pens before. You will have seen if you are subscribed to this channel. So hit that subscribe button, like if you haven't already. And since I'm promoting already halfway through, just check out the description for my Patreon account if you would like to help support me and what I do here. You would have seen that I posted a video already of the Sailor Pro Gear Slim fountain pen review, as well as the Sailor Pro Gear King of Pens. I finally got my hands on one of those bad boys. And then upcoming, I will be doing a video comparing the three sizes of the Pro Gear, so the Slim, the regular, and the King of Pens, comparing the three together. And they're all great, but this is not. Really isn't. It feels cheap. For not being super cheap compared to the way that it feels, the tines are really tight, it's dry, it's a little bit scratchy, just doesn't feel great when you write. Like a pencil, a number 2 pencil is a more pleasant experience than this. So, not bueno. And I did have slightly higher expectations because everyone, when they were like promoting it, the retailers, even the retailers that I trust, while they said like it's not like, a King of Pens style, it's still a great writing tool. And it's like, okay, fine, it writes. I don't believe I had any hard starts or skips with it. I'm pretty sure I did not, but So that's my overall opinion. Then we're going to jump into probably the worst pen. The biggest disappointment, for reasons that I can't get fixed. There's one pen that we're going to talk about that's probably the biggest that like hurt my soul a little bit, but I could get it fixed. This I can't get fixed. It's just the problem all around of the pen, and it's probably the first time in a long time that when I did the review of it, I couldn't really find too many redeeming qualities. And it was like my first quote unquote negative review because I really just don't like it. And that is a pen from Tabaldi. I believe this is the Tabaldi Benoni, or however you pronounce that. I'll have it written down here. This pen looks awesome. I love the look of this material. It's super stunning. I love the icy cool grays, the undertones of blue. I love the platinum finish, obviously. I'm a sucker for that. But that's pretty much where it stops. The threads, when you're like threading the cap on and off, kind of stick a little bit. It doesn't feel smooth. It doesn't feel pleasant. Same thing when you unscrew the barrel from the like housing. It feels like you're just tearing the wazoo out of the resin from the metal threads. That's not pleasant at all. While I do like the fact that it is a screw-in converter, I do like those, and it is kind of cute that it has Tabaldi on the international converter. As you can see right now, sometimes the threads don't line up and it takes an extra second to get it going. So I don't like the way that feels at all. Oh gosh. And it's okay, like in my hand, like I don't mind the way that it feels in my hand. The writing experience is not that great. It is kind of dry. It's a very stiff nib, kind of scratchy. Like it's just, it's not good. And like I said, oh gosh, this is just terrible, the way that it feels. Like, and it just feels like everything is catching on itself, and it just seems like there's no attention to detail on this pen, which is unfortunate because, again, it looks beautiful, and I've heard from others that they love their Tabaldis. So this is obviously, you know, a different experience for me, but it's just awful. Like, to me, this is a non-usable pen. Is it a usable pen? Yes, it writes for sure. Like somebody else, again, obviously likes it. But for me and the way that I like my pens to work, this is not usable. In fact, I have not inked it up again since I did for the review. It has just sat in my pen case of pens that I'm either going to sell and or not know what to do with. So very, very disappointed in this pen. And again, it's not an inexpensive fountain pen for having this many problems. And while, okay, eventually you can fix the writing aspect of a pen, you can't fix the body of the pen. And this is the first time really where I've had so much beef with the construction of a fountain pen. So, yeah. Okay, so we've done the calligraphy set, the Sailor Compass, and the Tabaldi. So we got 2 pens left to talk about. This next pen, I don't have the exact model that I'm going to be talking about. I have a different model, but I'm going to hold it up anyway so that you have something to look at, other than my random book collection over here, which is like a multi-tower situation. I shouldn't have tried to move the camera to show you the books. It just, everything fell down, went boom. So I have in my hands an Opus Coloro, I believe it's called. I have in my hand a Opus Coloro, I believe it's called. But the one that was a disappointment to me was the Opus 88. It was okay. There was nothing outwardly terrible about it. And I think in my review, I was generally positive with it because much like I think a TWSBI pen where it's not my style, there's nothing wrong with it, and I understand why so many people would love it. It's just not my style. The basic summary, I think, of really any Opus pen, in my opinion, is that it's fine. It's totally fine. Again, just like a TWSBI, it's totally fine. It's just not for me. And I think the reason why I was so disappointed in the Opus was because, again, so many retailers were talking about how amazing this pen was. It was such a good quality for the value. I don't remember how much I paid for it at the time because it was years and years ago now, but it wasn't super cheap. Opus as a brand is not a super cheap brand. But what I found in general was I didn't like the fact that you have to eyedropper convert it, but the piston rod at the end, like, all right, I'm just going to hold this now because the mic keeps falling off of the clip, so we're just going to say buttons to it. The piston rod at the end doesn't really serve a function, and it squeaks. you know? So it's not the greatest there. And it's the same on the Opus 88. Like, I'd rather it just be a vacuum fill pen than anything. And again, the main beef that I have with Opus, other than that, is like the way that it fills, is just that, again, the nib writes beautifully for what it is. It's just not my style. It's a very stiff nib, very hard nib, middle of the road wetness, middle of the road smoothness. It's just, there's nothing special about it. That's the best I can say. It does what's advertised, but it doesn't blow me away. And I was kind of disappointed by it. I had higher expectations, and I think that was early enough in my fountain pen collecting career where I really took stock in what retailers said, and now I don't. Perrier Blackberry, by the way, 10 out of 10 recommend. Now I don't take stock in what retailers say. Do I listen to them? Yes, but I very much now have a much more even expectation for what I'm going into. And then we get to the big bad boy. The big bad boy. This I paid, it was like a stupid amount. It's like over $1,000 Canadian. An absolutely stupid amount. And I was so upset when I got it. I told myself when I purchased the Visconti Homo sapiens Midnight in Florence that I wasn't going to get any more Visconti pens because they're all the same, really. It's just different body, right? And I loved this pen. It writes really, really well. And it's gorgeous. And I've had this for years. Again, I actually kind of bought this one by accident. If you watch the review, basically I reached out to a Canadian retailer, asked if they were going to get it in, and then before I knew it, they had already ordered it for me, and I had not given my permission to do that. I just said, yo, I'm just asking about the price. I didn't say that, and so I kind of got forced into buying it, but I do like it. So when the Visconti Arizona Sunset Homo sapiens was announced, I had to. This is literally my color profile. Like, this is my heart and soul, you know, like warm browns, warm reds, like the oranges, the yellows. Like, I like this color profile. Like, hello. All of my favorite inks, you know, Montblanc, James Protean Sons, Single Malt, you know, Wonder Pens, Dominant Industry, Ginger Chicken, like Ancient Copper from Diamine. Like, all of these things are my style. So I had to. And this one has a palladium nib. This one has a gold nib. And I used Emmy from Pen Ventures, Homo sapiens. He gave me what used to be their exclusive lava one that had like the red body. They've since sold out of those, but he sent me that for review, which you can check on my channel as well. And it had a gold nib on it. And guys, when I say like that was one of the best writing pens I've ever used in my whole life, I mean it. I found excuses to use that pen because it was just mind-blowingly beautiful. And so I thought, wow, like I remember watching like Stephen Brown videos, you know, Aziza from Gourmet Pens videos, like talking about the old Visconti gold nibs and how much better they were than the palladium nibs. And I'd only ever used a palladium Visconti before. So I thought now using Emmy's, like that gold nib was stunning. And I was like, that's it. Like, I'm going to buy this now. This comes with the gold nib. Like, this is going to be flippin' amazing. And so I bought the extra fine, knowing that, you know, Visconti typically writes a little bit wetter. And this one is a fine nib. And again, I know palladium versus gold. So I bought the extra fine nib. Oh my gosh, I was so excited to get it. I was so excited. I got it. I did flush it out right away because I knew that when I inked it up, I was going to have it inked up for quite some time. So I did. I got some ink in here. And it was awful. It was awful. It was so bad. It was dry, like so dry. It was kind of scratchy. Like the tines weren't like misaligned. Like they weren't like, whoa, like, you know, where they're like super obvious, but like it wasn't perfect. It was a little bit scratchy, and like just it did kind of not like hard. It didn't hard start, but it would skip occasionally, and it was super, super sensitive to the way that I would hold it. And I was just so gutted because I had such high expectations for it, especially coming off of Emmy's pen, and it was heartbreaking, especially because of the cost. And it's not like something that, like I could just write off and be like, oh, well, lesson learned, like I'll just, I'll put out a review and move on from that pen and call it a day. No, like this is a pen that I'm going to have with me for the rest of my life. And I was so gutted. So thankfully, Emmy from Pen Venture tuned this for me. I did send it to him, and he basically made it write the way that his pen writes, and then sent it back. And now it's one of my favorites. Currently, I don't have it inked up only because of my rule of not having more than 3 inked up at a time, and I currently actually have 4, but that's because I have all 3 of those sailors inked up for review, plus my Benu Briolette, which has been inked up consistently since I purchased it in January because it's dynamite. But now this is definitely one of my best writers. Emmy tuned this to perfection, super smooth, 0 hard starts, skips, anything like that, and quite wet, which is the way my heart and soul wants a pen to write. So now it's dynamite. So that's what I meant by like I could fix this one, but it was gut-wrenchingly terrible when I got it. So overall, like I said, the Caveco Calligraphy Set, the Tabaldi, the Sailor, and Opus, like I've had some disappointments, and I've had other disappointments as well. These are just the pens that I physically have and can hold up. I know a lot of you are going to be like, well, you talk about TWSBI all the time. Why is that not disappointing? Well, it's not disappointment because I know what to expect. Whereas with these, I did not. I went in with higher expectations and was super let down by them, which is a bummer for sure. And I'm trying to remember just now off the top of my head if I have any other standout moments, and I can't really think of any to be 100% positive on, but I'm sure I've had others, definitely. I am curious, though, what you guys think. Now, if some of the pens that I've talked about here are your favorite fountain pens, it doesn't mean I think your opinion's wrong, for sure. Like I said, I know that other people love their Tabaldis, and they've had great experiences with them, and I'm just kind of a standalone out here. But if some of these are your favorites, don't be upset that I don't like them. That's the beauty of this hobby. For those who dislike one, there's going to be 100 that do. For those who love one, there's going to be 100 that don't. So keep that in mind. But that said, I am curious. Let me know in the comments down below what pens, doesn't have to be 5, it could just be a single, whatever. What pen has been your most disappointing fountain pens? I am curious to see if I'm one of the few, or if this is just a fountain pen reviewer problem, in the sense that we tend to have more exposure to more pens than some other people. So I'm just curious. I'm curious. That's it. I'm curious. And let me know. While you're down there, like I said about 20 minutes ago already, hit that like and subscribe. New videos come out every Monday and Friday, and the occasional rando on Tuesday. Check out the description for my Patreon link if you would like to support me and what I do on this channel. But regardless, as always, especially if you've made it, 25 minutes plus in this video, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Big shout out to all my Patreon members. Let me know if you prefer this quick version or the older version where I went through one by one, but I appreciate all of you so much.